Welcome to the Daily Reads book series. I'm Christina, K-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, no fancy mess stuff going on here. And hey, this is Flashback Monday, and it's August 2018. And I am sure missing my Romantic Times Book Review magazine major, huge, big time. If anybody has any ideas for future flashbacks, let me know in the comments. Appreciate it. I had these 3 books put aside yesterday, and I walked out without them. So the first 3 books, where's my list here, are my authors. I was in a hurry, and I just left them. And I feel bad because they're my authors. So anyways, there's Miss Wilder's over there. And, that was another thing. I kept looking under Wild. That's a stupid title use. I was just having words with myself yesterday. I was like, her name isn't Wild. That's the name of the book. Her name is James. Go look under J, not W. So anyways, we were having a moment. It's Born to be Wild with Selena, naked guy on the cover, Alyssa James, and Lavina Gray. There's only one thing worse than having to ask appalling Parth Sterling to marry her. Being turned down. Gee whiz, you get the guts to ask a guy and he says no. Now, the richest bachelor in England, Parth, is not about to marry a woman as reckless and fashion-obsessed as Lavina. He's chosen a far more suitable bride. But when he learns of Lavina's desperate circumstances, he offers to find her heaven. Even better, he'll find her prince. As usual, there's no problem Perth can't fix. But the more times he spends with her, the more times he falls in love. Lotta. How many times have you seen that? And I'm going to do an if-then. I have to put this in my if-then pile. Definitely goes in the if-then pile. How many? The Bridgertons did it. I'm almost positive the Bridgertons did it. And I think the Sinsters may have done. I don't know if the Sinsters did it or not. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was the Bridgertons. And a couple of the other ones up there did it. Victoria Alexander, and I'm pretty sure maybe Balo did it. But I know the Bridgertons did it. I'm almost positive. And maybe a Balo did it too. Or a Beverly. Miss Beverly. So anyways, it's the old let's find each other a match to keep our matchmaking mamas off our back, and we end up falling in love. That's an if-then that I've been planning for a while. I need to add that book to it. Alright, now, I started this series, and I'm not sure why I didn't continue. I know I did at least 1 or 2. And I keep picking it up. So we'll have to go back and look and see why we didn't do it. Shelved Under Murder. Victoria Gilbert. October, Talesford, Virginia means it's leaf peeping season with bright, colorful foliage and a delightful, fresh crew of tourists attending the annual Heritage Festival, which celebrates local history and arts and crafts. Library director Amy Weber, though, is slightly dreading having to spend 2 days running a yard sale fundraiser for the library. But during these preparations, when she and her assistant Sunny stumble upon a dead body, Amy finds a real reason to be worried. Oh, speaking of which, there she is. I've got to put my books away, my papers away. I gotta get that organized. The body belongs to renowned artist who murdered with her own palette knife. A search of the artist's studio uncovers a cache of forged paintings, and when the sheriff deputy Brad Tucker realizes Amy is skilled in art history research, she's recruited to aid the investigation. It doesn't seem to be an easy task, but when the state's art expert uncovers a possible connection between Amy's deceased uncle and the murder case, Amy must champion her Aunt Lydia to clear her late husband's name. And I've done these books. The Sneth Officer, I have definitely done these. Please go check out my videos for these. Meg starts out as single, and she has a little bit of a rocky start with the boyfriend. They work out their misunderstandings, and they end up getting married. They end up having twins. She does sculpting, ironworks, like the weather vane type situation. And then she gets a job in the mayor's office. She's moving up in the world. I want Meg's mother to come decorate my house for Christmas. I love this woman. I love the way she decorates the house. I want my house decorated that way. So, and all the titles are puns. All the titles to Donna Andrews' books are puns. And this is Toucan. 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 Keep a secret. Book 23 in the series. Meg Lango's got a lot more than she organized when she agreed to take care of her toucan friend. The Reverend Robin Smith is fostering at her church. One night after bird duty, Meg hears the sound of hammering in the columbarium, where cremated remains are held, and only to find an elderly parishioner lying dead in the crypt. The man was well known around town, having been disgruntled with the church over the handling of his wife's ashes. But what was he doing in the columbarium anyway? At night, and who had it in for him? Now it's up to Meg to lead the investigation into murder motive and the long-buried Carphilly toucan mystery. And those are our 3 pictures because I messed them up yesterday. And let's see with this one. Heartbreaker. A novel. Claudia Day with a car. I don't know what a heartbreaker has to do with the car. And it's not even a pretty car. This came from North Carolina. It's got a bookmark. We'll just leave it in there for the next person. It's 1985, and Pony Darlene Fontaine has lived all her 15 years in the territory, a settlement founded decades ago by a charismatic cult. In this strange town run on sinister economic resource, the women crimp their hair and wear shoulder pads, and the teenagers listen to Nazareth and Whitesnake on their Walkmans. Pony's family lives in a bungalow at the furthest edge of town where the territory borders the rest of the wider world, a place none of the townspeople have ever been, except for Billie Jean Fontaine, Pony's mother. When Billie Jean arrived in territory 17 years prior, falling for the open door of a stolen car, the residents took her in and made her one of their own. She was the first outsider they ever laid eyes on. Pony adores and idolizes his mother, but everyone else in the territory is mystified her. Billie Jean refuses to describe the world she came from. One night, Billie Jean grabs her truck keys, bolts barefoot into October darkness, and vanishes. Beautiful, beloved, and secretive Billie Jean was the first person to be welcomed into the territory. Now, with a frank search underway for her missing mother, Pony fears will she be the first person to leave it too. Billie Jean is not my lover. Sorry, I can't sing for shit. I can't sing. I can't hold a tune. We have seen this book too many times. I just did this for it went for vacation, and it's gonna be for Locked Room, I think. I don't remember. But this book has been around a few times. This has been around. But it actually was released in August of 2018. So here we are. New release is 2018. This book has come in handy. So in winter, it's winter in the... Oh! That was it. It's coming up. You won't see it for a couple of months. That's it. I remember now. I remember what I used it for. It's winter in the Catskills, and Mitchell's Inn nestled deep in the woods. It's the perfect setting for a relaxing, maybe even romantic weekend getaway. It boasts spacious old rooms with huge wood-burning fireplaces, a well-stocked wine cellar, and opportunities for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or just about curling up with a good mystery book until the weather takes for a turn and a blizzard sets in and they lose electricity and someone gets murdered. You know, that reminds me of the was it Lucy Foley? I read one of her books and it just ended. There was no actual conclusion to the Lucy. It just, I said to this lady was gonna buy it one day, and I said it's a really good book, but there's no ending. There's no conclusion. There's no wrap. There's not. It just she just stopped writing. She was in the middle of story. She just stopped. I don't know. This is another lady I gotta do. Miss FBI Seals person. Because I've started collecting them. I don't even know how many I've got over there. I can't see behind the chair. But there's like 10 or so over there. I've got to start reading these. Like that other series that I decided that I really needed to read, and I'm really regretting reading it. And if you haven't watched my daily book reviews, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You need to watch my daily book reviews. For 3 weeks in June and July, I'm reading this series that I said I was going to read because I owed it to myself to read because I bought all the books for full price. And I'm like, but anyways, I gotta read these too. Allison Brennan, Abandoned. Investigative reporter Max Revere has cracked many cases, but the one she's never attempted is the mystery from her own past. Her mother abandoned Max when she was 9, sending her periodic postcards but never returning to reclaim her daughter. 7 years after the postcard stops coming, Martha Revere was declared legally dead with no sign of whatever happened to her until now. With a single clue that her mother's car was abandoned 16 years ago in a small town on the Chesapeake Bay, Max drops everything to finally seek the truth. As she investigates and her mother's story unfolds, she realizes that Martha teamed up with a conman. They traveled the world living off Martha's trust and money they conned from others. Though no one claims to know anything about Martha or her disappearance, Max suspects that there's more than one person is lying. When she learns the FBI has an active investigation into the conman, Max knows she's on the right track, but as Max digs into the secret success of this idyllic community, the only thing she might find is the same violent end as her mother. So at least this doesn't have the character angst that the other book is that I'm reading. I don't know why. I remember liking it so much. Yes, ma'am. You doing okay? She's ignoring me. So where was I? Oh yeah, Ella Andrews. I gotta read these too. I've got most of these. There you go, magic. I've got quite a few of these. Kate has come a long way from her origins, a sooner taking care of paranormal problems in the post-shift Atlanta. She's made friends and enemies. She's found love and started a family with Karina Leonard, former Best Lord, but her magic is too strong for the power players of the world to let her be. Kate and her father, Roland, currently have an uneasy truce, but when he starts testing her defenses again, she knows that sooner or later a confrontation is inevitable. The witch oracle has begun seeing visions of blood, fire, and human bones, and when a mysterious box is delivered to Kate's doorstep, a threat of war from the ancient enemy who nearly destroyed her family shows up again. I have got to sneeze. Excuse me. There's another one I gotta read. Feared, Lisa Scottoline. When three men announced that they are suing the Rosado and Donoso law firm for reverse sex discrimination, claiming they were not hired because they were men, Mary, Donoso, and Bernie are outraged. To make matters worse, their one male employee, John Foxman, intends to resign, claiming there is much truth to the case. The plaintiff's lawyer is Nick Machiavelli, who has already lost to Mary once and is now back with vengeance, determined not only to win the case but to destroy the firm. It soon becomes clear that Machiavellian will do anything in his power to achieve his end, even after the case turns deadly. The stakes have never been higher for Mary and her associates to try to keep Machiavelli at bay. Does that sound good? What do you think? Lord, this is a big one. Karen Slaughter, pieces of her. Look at this. Look at this. What do you think? There's an eye on the cover. What? Mommy, don't do the videos. Pay attention to me. Andrea knows everything about her mother, Laura. She knows she spent her whole life in the small beach town beside of Bella Isle. She knows she's never wanted anything more than to live a quiet life as a pillar of the community. She knows she's never kept a secret in her life because we all know our mothers, don't we? But all that explodes into violence when a trip to the mall, and Andrea suddenly sees a completely different side of Laura. Because it turns out that before Laura was Laura, she was someone completely different. For nearly 30 years, she's been hiding from her previous identity, lying low in the hope that no one would ever find her. But now she's been exposed, and nothing will ever be the same. And the police want answers. It's a very violent month. Swift vengeance. Debarger. You drive me crazy. Ford is on the trail of a mysterious killer who is beheading CIA drone operatives and leaving puzzling clues at each crime scene. His troubled friend Lindsay Rakes is afraid of her own life and the life of her son after a fellow flight crew member is killed in a brutal fashion. Even more terrifying is the odd note the killer left behind. Vengeance is justice. The thunder is coming for you. Sincerely, California. CALIPHORNIA. Ford strikes an uneasy alliance with San Diego-based FBI agent Joan Tucker, who is tough as nails, but haunted by what she sees as the Bureau's failure to catch the 9/11 terrorists. Okay? How's it going there? Are you still with me? Wagging that tail 6 miles an hour over there. Faye Kellerman, Walking Shadows. On a gorgeous early summer morning in the small upstate college town of Greenboro, New York, Peter Decker was called to investigate some vandalized mailboxes on a rural street, searching for evidence of adolescent mischief in the leafy woodlands adjacent to an empty vacant home. He discovers a body, the victim dead from a blow to the back of the head. The deceased is identified as 26-year-old Brady Neal, a resident of the neighboring town of Hamilton. Brady has no criminal record but few friends, worked full-time, and attended community college. But Decker learns that the young man has a past linked to brutal crime. When Brady was a boy, his father, Brendan Gates, was convicted of robbing and killing the owners of a local jewelry store. While Gates and his partners, Kyle Masterson, admitted to the robbery, they swore they left the owners, Glenn and Linda, alive. There was only one witness, the couple's son, Greg. His testimony put the criminals away. A cop for 35 years, Decker knows there's more to this new homicide case than the records show. To dig deep, though, he needs the Hamilton's PD cooperation to access their files. This is complicated. KARLA, NEGGERS, Imposter's Lore. Newlyweds Emma and Colin are suspicious when prosecutor Tamara McDermott is a no-show at Boston dinner party. Matt Yavansky, head of HIT, Emma and Colin's elite Boston-based team, is a friend of Tamara's and he needs them to find him. In London, a woman who's supposed to meet Emma's art detective grandfather to talk about forgeries is discovered near death. Her husband, who stayed behind in Boston, has vanished. The couple's connection to Tamara adds to the puzzle. As the search for Tamara's intensifies, a seemingly unrelated murder leads Emma Colin hit into a deep maze of misdirection by a clever, lethal criminal who stays a step ahead of them. On the lighter side of town, Fern Michaels, safe and sound. Isabella Flanders Tukas isn't expecting to involve the sisterhood in a new mission when she strikes up a friendship with a curly-haired boy in her local park. Ben Ryan is 8 years old, sweet, funny, and smarter than most adults, a child genius, in fact. He's also much deeper danger than he realizes. Ben is the grandson of millionaire Eleanor Lyman, who hired Izzy years ago to designate an institute for gifted children. Ben's mother passed away, and Ben now lives with his stepfather Connor and Connor's wife Natalie. Yet, as Izzy soon learns, Ben's home life is far from happy. Connor and Natalie are constantly fighting. They've been using Ben's trust fund to support their lavish lifestyle, while shame neglectfully Ben. And with Natalie getting greedy, Ben's safety is now in jeopardy. So they need to find Eleanor and fix stuff. Margaret WEIS, the privateer. Are they supposed to be good looking, or I'm not exactly sure. Captain Kate has managed to slip through the hangman's noose, but it's not all clear sailing from here. Dangling a dragon that has saved Kate's life many times over has returned to his homeland in shame and plans on turning himself in for treason. But Kate won't leave any of her friends to face the fate alone, even if that means going to the most dangerous place in the world, the surface. So they live underwater? Okay. Another lady that we have seen on this series channel quite often. I love Molly Murphy, and I'm gathering the Spyness ones. We will do a binge of the Spyness at some point. I've got to finish gathering them. RHYS BOWEN, 4 funerals and maybe a wedding. If only Darcy and I had eloped, what I thought would be a simple wedding has transformed into a grand affair, thanks to the attendance of the Queen, who has offered up the princess as bridesmaids. Silly me, I thought withdrawing from the royal line of succession would simplify my life. But before Darcy and I tie the knot in front of the Queen and country, we have to find a place to live as man and wife. House hunting turns out to be a pretty grim affair. Just as we start to lose hope, my globe-trotting godfather offers us his fully staffed country estate. Mistress of Ellsworth I shall be, with Dorothy off in parts unknown. I had to head to Essling alone, only to have my hopes dashed. The grounds are in disarray, and the small staff is suspiciously incompetent. Not to mention the gas leak in the bedroom. Oops. Now, this final book. I'm so curious as to what Romantic Times Book Review would say with this book. You know, when she first started out, they were really, really good books. And I will forever buy her books the day they come out. I want to know what's happening to the character. So I will buy the books the day they come out. Forever. And there's a book coming out later this year. It's not this series, it's the other series. And we all want this series because we want to find out what happens with the character. Because if things go as supposedly planned, we may not get our character book for 2 or 3 years. Because she stopped to write this other one. Well, alright, let's take care of Anita first. She wrote 9 Mary books. Mary was happy at the end of the series. She left it. That was like 10 something plus years ago. She's decided to write a new Mary book, but it's going to be a 2-parter. So that means Mary comes out this year, Mary comes out next year. She was thinking about doing another Jason book, so that's after that is Jason. And then we might actually get to the wedding book, which would be 4 or 5 years from now. So, us readers who've been waiting and were promised, or insinuated promise, let me rephrase it, insinuated promise, we were going to get something in book 30. It wasn't. But anyways, and I can't believe this was like, she's only written like 6 books since then, and it's been over 10 years, well, almost 10 years. Laurel K. Hamilton, The Serpentine. A remote Florida island is the perfect wedding destination for the upcoming nuptials of Anita's fellow U.S. Marshal and best friend Edward. For Anita, the vacation is a welcome break, as it's the first trip she gets to take with Royal Leopards, Micah and Nathaniel. But it's not all fun and games as the bachelor party. In this typical paradise, Micah discovers a horrific new form of lycanthropy, one that has afflicted a single family for generations. Believed to be the result of an ancient Greek curse, it turns human bodies into snakes? What do you think of snakes? No, I didn't think so. You'd prefer the lycanthropy? I thought you might. When long simmering resentment leads to a big blow up with the wedding party, the last thing Anita needs is more drama, but she finds her anyway when women start disappearing from the hotel, and worse, her own friends and lovers are considered the prime suspect. There's a strange power afoot that Anita has never confronted before, a force that's rendering those around her helpless. Edward's wife knows that Edward and Anita have never, but that doesn't stop her from. So Anita did this wedding thing a couple of years ago. Not Incubus. It might have been Incubus or Dance. No, Narcissus and Cerulean. So it might have. No, it was after Cerulean. So it might have been Incubus. The wedding that took place in October for the characters, for her former co-host, cohort. So this is the second wedding for Anita in her series, and she's not the bride. So I was standing in the air-conditioned hush of Forever Bridal in the Albuquerque, New Mexico, but since all I could see was a rack of plastic-wrapped wedding dresses taller than my head, I could have been in any bridal shop in any part of the country. The dresses were ones that needed tailoring to fit their brides. I stared at the different shades of white, from dazzling white like fresh snow in sunlight to a cream so dark it was almost pale brown or taupe. I was always confused by taupe. Who wouldn't be confused by a color that can't decide if it's gray or tan? The dress they'd finally let me try on was black, because the PL teal that matched the maid of honor's dress had looked so bad on me that even Donna Parnell, the bride-to-be, had conceded that we could try the dress in black for me. And it works for her. I stood clutching the overly long black skirt in one hand so I couldn't trip. I talked to Micah on my new smartphone, which actually so smart I was uncomfortable using it, as if the technology was silently judging my lack of tech savvy. So, anyways, there you go. Serpentine and Miss Cute. Are you licking me? Are you giving me kisses? Are you giving me kisses? Yes. 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 Can I help you? What? So we've got some books to read, and we've got some Star Trek to recap. So we'll see you later. Have a good one.